Hey everybody, I'm Charlie Smith, your host of Savannah Music Chit Chat. If you have not subscribed to our YouTube channel, please do so. Subscribe to YouTube and follow us on Rumble. And what a show we have for you tonight. A good friend of mine for a long, long time, Craig Johansen's in the house.
Hey, man.
Man, it's good to see you, brother.
Good to see you, dude. Congratulations on this show, man. It's been fun watching it.
Thank you so much for being here,
man.
man.
Oh, man, that's cool.
Yeah, it is, man.
Sit around, talk music. That's
yes, sir.
That's easy.
Yes, sir. So let's get right down to it, man. You know, I always ask everybody where it started off, and I'm really curious how old you were. When did you realize the direction of music was in your life?
Probably the formative year, the 12, 13-year-old thing, you know, saying you started getting into hearing stuff on the radio, I-95, Z102. They did the album rock stuff back then. I remember hearing all these bands, and I thought, wow, this is really cool. But I had some friends kind of in early high school that started playing guitar, and they started a band, and I thought, hey, that'd be fun. And they were like, I said to one of my friends, I'm like, hey, man, I'd like to learn how to play guitar. He goes, well, I'll teach you guitar. I got a spare guitar at the house. And he wrote down A through G on chords on a piece of paper and let me hold the guitar, and started learning from there. And by about 15 years old, I started playing guitar and got into really wanting to pursue it. And, you know, I heard Eddie Van Halen, and I heard Lindsey Buckingham at a young age, and I liked the dynamic of those two. I don't know, those two kind of always resonated when I was a kid. And I can't play like either one of them, but you still strive. You know, those are the kind of guys you go, the inspiration, you're like, man, it's so cool. It just kind of jumps out at you, and I kind of started from there and started finding other musicians. You start running into people that played music and kind of rolled from there.
That's
so probably about
awesome,
15
man.
years old. My mom bought an acoustic guitar for me when I was 12, and I always wondered, why did she do that? There was never any sign that I wanted to play music, but it's almost like she knew. She bought an acoustic. My little brother, who turns out being a drummer, later broke that guitar. And then we got another acoustic, and I never took any lessons, but right around 15, I got an electric guitar from a friend and got to work on it and got the bug and never looked back. I always wanted to do it after that and just kept doing it.
Well, let me tell you, brother, coming from another musician, not just a friend, you're an incredible musician, man.
Well, thank you, man.
Your guitar playing, your rhythm is so on point.
Thank
Your
you.
leads, incredible. Your vocals, when you sing leads, your background vocals.
Yeah.
All-around musician, man, in
Thank
one
you.
deal, one package right there, man. It's a pleasure to watch you since,
Yeah.
I've been watching you since 1988.
Yeah. We were just talking about the Bandemonium stuff back at Armstrong.
Yeah, man.
1989, Mr. Nasty. Me, Todd Armstrong, Bill Toller, and Lawrence Mitchell. That was like our first kind of big gig in front of people, you know, and that was a lot of fun.
Y'all rocked. I'll never forget it, man.
I can't imagine what it sounded like, but I know we had fun, and that's what it was all about then, and that's kind of still what it's all about today for me. I really want to have a good time playing music, and it was started that way when we were young, and today it still puts smiles on our faces. You know, when we run into each other, like you and I run into each other, we run into musicians in places, we just kind of laugh and point like, I remember this, I remember that, I remember those days, and you know, it's a big bond. You know, it's pretty cool.
My God, your hair was down to here. I remember that long hair.
Yeah,
man.
I graduated from Benedictine Military School in 1987, and I had the short hair, and you know, I was playing guitar at that point in life, and you know, I'll never forget going to 1986 or 87. I was at a sports banquet at BC with my leather jacket on and my khakis and everything, but I had to get out of there quickly because Rat was playing at the Civic Center, and I had to get downtown. And I showed up to see Rat, and there I was, just, you know, preppy BC boy, and I was like, I don't care, I'm ready to rock. And you know,
cool,
so
man.
I was a high school. Obviously, I'm 6'8", so I was a high school basketball player. But I was really getting into music in high school, and that kind of took over. I was more, you know, focused on doing music stuff.
Well, since we're at that point, with that going, let's see here. Talking about longtime musician, let's just go over this here. Scam. Mr. Nasty. And Sometimes Why. Glass Pack. Split Finger. Hot Pink Interior. 8 Tracks. Magic Rocks. The Football Bats. Thomas Claxton and the Myth, Sonic Temple, Monkey Man, Junkyard Angel, Amy and Craig acoustic duo. I mean, you've been performing in this city for a long time with a lot of different people, man. That is friggin' awesome, bro.
I've been seriously lucky. When you say the names of those bands, and I think of the people that I played with in those bands, and I'm friends with pretty much every one of those people. Some are no longer with us, but each one of those things it's an opportunity to, meet people, to work on stuff, to smile, to laugh, to share life. And all of those people, I mean, it just, right from the beginning, Scam, my old buddy Bob Buckley went to high school with him, Alex Quinn, who's a great drummer in town for such a long time with Versa Vice. And,
Alex.
Yeah, I mean,
Alex.
that was one of the
Very
first
good.
bands I played with was Alex. You talk about
Wow.
being like not adequate to be in a band. I'm thinking, this guy is a badass. And I'm playing in a band with him, but he was such a super nice guy. And I was in high school still when I played with those guys. And moving on through the 80s and, went into Mr. Nasty like we talked about. And Mr. Nasty morphed into And Sometimes Why in the early 90s. That was my first really big attempt at writing original music. We were in our early 20s. We got a practice place at Abercorn and Broughton Street, which is today, if you go down there and go, how did you practice at Abercorn and Broughton Street? Well, Abercorn and Broughton Street in 1991 was boarded up. There was nothing down there. So they were renting buildings to people to practice in, and that building had 8 or 9 bands up there, man. Roy G. Biv, Eric Culberson, me and Mills, Damn Ed, Twisted Oliver, God, who else? I mean, there was all these bands, and you'd go up the stairs, and what hallway you went down, you'd hear a different band playing different music, man. And it was so cool. And I'm friends with some of those guys, and I ended up playing in bands with some of those guys later. And you'd go up and hear every style of music. And then when you go down to the bottom of the stairs and sit down there on the mailbox or leaning up against, everybody's out there smoking or drinking beer, we're 20 years old, we're hip, cool, whatever, we're having a good time. And you met so many cool people, and they all played different music, and they all supported each other, and it was so cool. I mean, and those are some relationships, I mean, when I see those people, like you say, you walk up to them and go, man, these are awesome, It's so cool to see these guys again. And so when I was, and sometimes we started writing music, sorry, and started writing music, and the original thing kind of bit us, we're like, we'll write songs, it'll be fun. And man, it was so cool. Bill Sabo came in at that point to play guitar with me, Gary Humphreys, and Todd Armstrong. And Todd and I became very good friends in teenage years. And we're still good friends to this day. And he's a super great bass player, super talented guy. And he went on and played in other bands too. But we wrote, we just sat up there. We practiced 5 or 6 nights a week, hammered that stuff down like, like it was going to be the rest of our lives. Because at that point it was super important to us, And looking back on it, we just had a great time. I miss it, but I still talk to all those guys, And we get together, we just kind of reminisce and catch up, and that's the greatest thing about music, man. It puts a smile on everybody's face, and you make great
family,
friends.
man.
You are your family. You make great friends, and as soon as you walk in to see each other again, you just start laughing because you could go on for days with the stories,
What blesses me, man, is going back to them days, watching you play back in the late 80s. And then, there was a time in life that I didn't really get to see you a whole bunch. And then all of a sudden I come out and watch a show with you and Thomas with the Myth. And to actually witness how far you have come with all around music abilities is just absolutely incredible to watch.
I learned a lot from a lot of people I played in bands with. I mean, I seriously, when I left And Sometimes Why, I went to Glasspack. I played with Richard Smith, who was a DJ in town, and he passed away years ago. He was a super talented guy that, taught me a lot of different things, different harmony styles and different playing with a keyboard player. And I went from And Sometimes Why, where I was the lead singer. I didn't play guitar in the band. And then I went to the next band where I was the guitar player and backup singer in the next band. So it was really cool transformation from
Yes.
that. And Todd Armstrong came with me in that. Well, Todd ended up joining that band, and then they needed a guitar player, and he kind of talked me into coming down and trying out for him. And then Gary Humphreys, eventually, who played drums in And Sometimes Why, ended up being the drummer in Glassback. So we were kind of following each other around in different gatherings of musicians and playing and writing original music. So by that time, I got kind of the guitar bug and wanted to play more guitar. And then that band went into Split Finger, where Bill Sabo, who was in And Sometimes Why, I played with him, and Gene Lyons, who was in Roy G. Biv, and Sebastian Edwards, who was in Super Horse. All these guys in these different bands, we just kind of would get together and jam and have a good time, and eventually we would write enough songs to record something and go play. And it's that each one of those steps, eventually I got into playing with 8-tracks and the Magic Rocks, which is mostly covers. And we would go play around as a cover band. That's where I ended up meeting Thomas. But in that time, I did Split Finger, like I said, with Sabo and Sebastian Edwards and Gene Lyons, Scott Langford. We wrote original music in there. And then I was in Hot Pink Interior with Sebastian, Robin Reeder, who is a super awesome girl, just cool, just great. She had so many great ideas and energy and awesomeness. And her and Amy started this band. It was her playing, Robin played drums, Amy played guitar and sang, Sebastian played bass. And they asked me if I wanted to play and sing with them. And I joined that band, and there was more original music in that. And so I got to play with so many different people. And you feel very fortunate. I feel like I'm running on. I'm talking a lot.
No, man, you're doing great.
I just drank a whole thing. I just drank a whole thing of coffee on the way over here.
It's all about you, not me.
But seriously, when you think back and you look at all the different bands, like that, the names of those bands and those people, you can point out all the different things you learned, and nothing even to do with music. It's just life and friends and family, and. I was, like I said, I was really blessed to play with a lot of really cool people. And I still am to this day. I get to play with a lot of really cool people. I mean, I know you know it too, because I see when you play with some of the people, when you play with your son, for crying out loud, how cool is that? Man,
it's
how cool is
words
that?
Words cannot describe that, bro.
Yeah.
It's crazy, man.
But it has a lot to do with who you're up there with a lot of times too. You really enjoy the people you're with and the things you get to do with them. It means a lot.
So what about Sonic Temple? That's the new project that you and Mark and Thomas and Nathan and John.
Yeah, well, so the Myth, when I was playing with Magic Rocks, Thomas would come around downtown, and he was playing with different people. Different people joined playing his band, and he had different guitar players play. And he asked me a couple of times, "Hey, will you want to come play with us one time?" And of course I did, because Paul Cooper and I are really good friends. I mean, I've known Paul for a long time. Paul's one of the nicest people on the planet and a super great drummer. And he would always joke with me at work when I'd see him, because he and I worked together for a while, and he would say, when are we going to play together? When are we going to jam together, Craig? And I'm like, he's like, you don't want to play with me? I'm like, that's not true. But he was playing with Thomas, and Thomas was like, hey, you want to come play with us? And he gave me a list of 50 or 60 songs. And I said, I'm going to need a month to work on these things. So he gave me about a month. And then I played the first show with him, I think at the Bayou, of course, because we all played down there. And it was a lot of fun. I mean, so I was playing with Ronnie Kersey and Jim Reed. And then in this band, I played with Paul Cooper and Rodney Smith. And that's a total different rhythm section. Those guys were tight, funky, groovy, did all kinds of stuff that I wasn't very good at. And I'm like, damn, I remember playing the first few gigs and going, man, I got a lot to learn. I got to really lock in with these guys. But they were so cool to play with, and I had a great time. So the Myth turned into Thomas. I guess Thomas and Mark wanted to do another band. Mark wanted to do something, and Thomas, so they talked about doing a different band with different style music than what the Myth does. So he had Nathan was going to play, and they got John Willis to play bass, and he called me up, and he was like, "Hey, I'm putting this thing together." I'm like, you got Nathan, you got Willis, you got Vackwer, and you got you. what am I going to be? You don't need me. He's like, no, no,
Yeah,
no.
they did,
I'm like,
dude.
I was like, you need somebody to sing backup with you, don't you? I said, Mark can do that. He's like, well, Mark wants to concentrate on drums. I'm like, all right, I'll try it. So he gave me a total another list of songs, and these went off in all kinds of directions, and it's been fun to do it. Once again, it's learning new stuff and playing with different people, and they're all really cool players and good people.
Actually, which opened up the opportunity for you and I, FAQ and Sonic
Yeah.
Temple, to share that stage
Yeah.
that night. That was
Yeah.
great at Coach's
Yeah, it
Corner.
was
That was
fun.
so much fun, man.
That was a cool time. All these gigs are, when you play enough and you start running into all these people that have played in different bands and you know them from different stages in your life, it's always cool when you run into them again. And, Thomas has been one of those guys that, he's got something, he's got a goal, he's got stuff he wants to do, but he's always, got the musicians in town that he wants to get together and jam with. And I've had a great time playing with Thomas. So, he and I are friends and we talk all the time, and he gives me a call and says, hey, what are you doing so-and-so? I'm like, well, let me check, And he goes, well, mark that on your calendar. I'm like, all right, I'll mark that on my calendar, But he's been busy doing other stuff, so we haven't been playing as much lately, which good for him.
Right on. I know y'all be back out again. There's no
I'm
doubt.
sure he'll find something for us to do, and when that happens, we'll be back out there having a great time again.
Could you give me the honor to play a tune on the way out of the show?
Sure, man. I brought an acoustic. I'll see. I'll dig out a original song, and we'll give it a shot. It's written probably more for a rock band, but we'll see what we can do.
I'm digging it, man. I'm excited. Let's
Right
do
on.
this, man.
Cool, man.
Yeah!
This is a song called Old Habits. And like I said, it was probably more geared to a rock band, but we'll give this a shot. Let's see what it does. When it gets ugly, without even trying, there's some deflections I seem to like. Back in the saddle, fits like a glove. Sent from my good days, sent from above. Took about all that I could take. Old habits, they're hard to break. Old habits, they're hard to break. Like it was yesterday, like the back of my hand. Conditioned responses are what I understand. Just about everything's at stake, but old habits, they're hard to break. Old habits, they're hard to break. Yeah, they're hard to break. Quitting ain't easy, some people say, and I got no plans on quitting today. Don't mind thin ice, yeah, I like the lake. Needed the money, but don't wanna sell. One too many times into the well. Too many to toss away. Old habits, they're hard to break. Take all my baggage to the hotel, up to the same floor, the one that I know too well. I took about all that I could take. Old habits, they're hard to break. Old habits, they're hard to break. They're hard to break. Old habits, they're hard to break.
Listen, I just wanted to thank you for being on this show, man.
Absolutely,
so
man.
much peace and love and happiness to you, man.
Absolutely, dude.
Happy holidays, Merry Christmas.
Same to you, man.
And if you have not seen this guy play, you need to go check him out, Savannah. He's awesome.
I was going to say, December 17th at the Norwood Tavern, Amy Ochoa and myself will be playing acoustic songs and singing. So if you're right down the street from here, I guess we'll be playing.
You've got
From
it,
6
man.
to 9. Come on out.
Come on out, Savannah. Thank you.